Hey everybody, and welcome to this lesson in your A+ Core 2 1202 course, where I am going to tell you everything you need to know about Exam Objective 2.2 and give you some practice questions at the end to make sure you are on track. I don't want to waste your time. Let's get to it with Defender Antivirus. So, first things first, what is Defender Antivirus? We should be semi-familiar with that by now, hopefully. But, to reiterate, Defender Antivirus is the inbuilt Windows/Microsoft security program. So it is going to give you that virus protection that you need. The first thing we need to know about is activation/deactivation. And particularly, we need to know that it's generally on by default, and we want to leave it that way unless we have a specific reason to deactivate it. If we hypothetically did want to deactivate it, we could press our Windows tab or Windows key just on our keyboard, which will bring up this menu, type in security. I can come down and I can click on Manage Settings. If I click on that, it'll take me here and it will say Real-Time Protection. I can click that from on to off and that will turn off real-time protection. But you'll notice that it actually says you can turn this off for a short time until it turns back on automatically. It's because it's a pretty terrible idea to turn that off. Really don't do it unless you have a specific reason to do it. But in general, you don't want to be doing that. All right. So don't turn it off. But if you wanted to, hypothetically, that's how you could do it. A definition is basically just the list of known threats. If your antivirus software knows the known threats, it can adequately defend against those known threats. Generally, these updates for updating the list of known threats or definitions is going to happen automatically. You can also update it manually if you want to, though, in that same settings panel that we were just in. The next thing we need to know about is Windows Firewall, not antivirus, but firewall specifically. So by now we should know what a firewall is. Hopefully we should be familiar with the idea or thought of a firewall, but in general, just again, what does it do? It is a crucial security guard for your network. What does it actually do? It controls what information gets in and out, but particularly it's looking at, or you're looking at traffic filtering, so monitoring all incoming and outgoing data packets, applying predefined rules to allow or block connections. So whatever rules you tell this firewall to follow, it will follow these rules to make sure only data that is suited to those rules get in and out. So it's the primary defense against cyber threats. And by preventing any unauthorized access and blocking suspicious activity, the firewall safeguards your system. It also allows you to control which applications can communicate over the network as well. So you can choose what applications you want to communicate, and you can choose what ports and protocols you want to be able to operate going in and out of your network as well. And I'll show you roughly how to do that in a second too. But first, we need to know about the fact that we can activate and deactivate it again. So same place, guys. If you wanted to activate or deactivate it, we could go to security and we could then move on down to firewall and network protection, and you'll have each of your individual network profiles. You can click on one of these and you can turn it on or off. I'm not going to turn that off because I'll get a notification. My camera will stop recording, as I've already found out, and I don't want that to happen. So that's how you can do it. You can also go to the control panel, and you can also come here to advanced settings, and this is where you can set your inbound and outbound rules. We've gone through this in a previous exam objective, so you should be somewhat familiar, or this should be ringing some bells. But essentially, you can set your inbound rules, and you can go ahead and create a new inbound rule, which is data coming into your device, and you can do that based on program, based on port, or custom. So you can choose what program or port can and cannot communicate with your device from the outside, and you can do the same from your device going out. All right, so you can set those predefined rules that your firewall then has to follow. And that's through the control panel option there. And that was port security, right? So if you set it based on port, it's going to say, hey, actually port 80 for HTTP can't go out, for example. I'm going to set a rule that blocks port 80 from going out or coming in, which means you have to use HTTPS, which is secure internet surfing. So if you get a question saying what port should you block for secure internet access only, you'd block port 80 using the firewall to set a custom inbound and outbound rule blocking that port. For example, that would be port security. You also have application security, which is more advanced. It's basically looking at the specific data traveling over that specific application and seeing if there is anything harmful in there. It has some advanced capabilities. It can say, hey, this is different from what's usually happening, and based on that, I'm going to flag it and do something about it. It actually inspects the packets themselves instead of just relying on what port they're coming in on. So application security, essentially, you just need to know it's more advanced, and it doesn't just rely on the port number. It actually inspects the data itself to see if it is or is not a threat. Next, we're looking at user accounts and groups. So user accounts and groups, essentially, on Windows, you've got different users and accounts and groups that they belong to, and depending on which one you belong to or what type of user you are, you'll have different permissions, and you need to know about some specific ones. So the first one that you need to know about is local versus your Microsoft account. This one's pretty simple, guys. Essentially, the local account exists only on the individual computer that they are created on. Whoops. However, the Microsoft account is linked to your computer and other online services. So it's like your OneDrive, your Microsoft Store, and the sync settings across your devices. So the local account is just your device on your computer, and the Microsoft account is linked to all those online services. So you can access that from one device to another device. You just have to log in on those different devices, and you'll be sweet. Just understand that difference. You'll be fine. There's not much more to that one. Don't freak out too much about that. The standard account is your one that is ideal for daily tasks because it allows users to run applications and save files, but you do need to be prompted for administrator permission for significant system changes. So if you give someone a standard account, they can't go crazy and change your system, which protects your operating system from accidental or malicious alterations. That, when compared with the administrator account, possesses full control over your system, which enables management of all of your settings, software installations, and user account creation. So you want to make sure that you're careful when giving people administrator account, and generally you shouldn't do it unless they really need it, because they can change and mess up your entire system. And the other one we need to know about is the guest user. So this is if you have a temporary visitor. A guest account offers limited access to the computer without affecting any personal files or settings. And this type of account is less prominent in modern Windows versions, but you can create a guest account if you wanted to have an account people could use when they come over to your house, but you don't want to let them log into your account and you don't want to have them create a new standard user account. Just know that that's an option. And finally, you also need to know about the power user, which is kind of a legacy thing. It's an older type of account from Windows XP era. Power users had more privileges than standard users, but less than administrators. So just know that a power user, despite the fact that it's kind of old, you need to know what it is for your exam. A power user sits in the middle of standard and administrator. So that's pretty much it. If you wanted a user that has escalated privileges above a standard user, but not quite administrator level, power user would be the one back in the day. Now, login options. How do we log into your computer? I know you guys have computers, and I know you how to do it. I know you know how to do it, but I gotta tell you anyway. We'll go through all the login options you need to know for your exam. So when you're logging in, it's different ways that you can prove who you are to get into your system. I'm sure we know that. Now, what are our options? And more specifically, what do we need to know about logging in for your exam? The first one that is specified is username and password. You're using a username and a password. Very traditional. Key thing here is they're both things that you know. It's not something you have. It's not something you are. It's not a key card or a fob key, and there's no biometrics like fingerprints or eye scanners or facial recognition. So if someone knows your username and password, they can gain access to your device, which is why it's not the most secure. A PIN, same issue. It's something you know. It's not the most secure because if someone knows your PIN, they can gain access if you don't have multi-factor authentication, but it's just numbers, right? Numbers. A PIN is numbers. Fingerprint, biometrics. Now we're getting a bit more secure. Fingerprint scans your fingerprint and then gives you access to your computer. It's fast, it's quick, it's easy, and it's the most secure out of all the options we've looked at so far. Similarly, facial recognition. Again, secure because it's something you are. It's your biometrics. No one can steal your face. Single sign-on just refers to the fact that once you sign on or log in with a single set of credentials, you can then access multiple applications and services, which streamlines how easy it is to use everything you need to use because you just have to log in and sign on once. The final one we need to know about is Windows Hello. And no, it is not James from accounting waving at you through the window as much as we like that guy. Windows Hello is actually Microsoft's secure and convenient passwordless authentication method, which is integrated across Windows 10 and 11. So basically, it's just Windows' specific way of allowing users to use any variety of login methods that we've talked about, such as PIN, fingerprint, or facial recognition, that are quick and easy to quickly and efficiently gain access to your system. So it's designed to be faster and more secure than traditional passwords. Windows Hello stores biometric data and pins locally on the device, often protected by a TPM, Trusted Platform Module chip. We talked about what that was in the past, ensuring sensitive authentication data never leaves your system. Just understand, Windows Hello is like Windows' own way of combining these more convenient login methods to let you quickly gain access to your device. And it utilizes a TPM on your laptop. You'll be sweet. Hey guys, this video is sponsored by the A+ Core 1 and Core 2 Ultimate Learning Guide. This learning guide has helped many people pass their Core 1 and Core 2 exams, meaning that they can move on to their Network Plus and Security Plus sooner rather than later. In the learning guide, here's what you will get. Detailed notes, revision notes, active recall questions, and multiple choice questions for every single exam objective. 3 full-length practice exams with performance-based questions, a document with performance-based questions, a video showing you exactly how to study using multiple choice questions so you will be moving ahead of 99% of other people at a much faster rate because you are studying more effectively. A video giving you test-taking tips in case you get stuck on a question in the exam. A video showing you how to use free AI tools to 10 times your study sessions. And best of all, I want this to be accessible to everyone regardless of your economic position, so I've made it extremely affordable. So if this sounds good to you, you can head over to journeytocyber.com and grab your A+ Core 1 or Core 2 learning guide today. Okay, now we're getting into different file types and file permissions. So we have NTFS versus shared permissions. First thing, before we get into it, NTFS, we should remember from the early exam objective, is the file type for Windows. All right, that is the file type for Windows. And shared permissions, they apply to accessing files over the network. If you're accessing a file over the network, you're going to be given share permissions. But NTFS is the file-specific level permissions on the device itself. Okay. So for example, if I have my laptop and I have a file called I'm going to pass my A+ because I study with journeytocyber.com, and then Bob tries to access that file over the network, I'm going to have file level specific permissions, but then there's also going to be share permissions for Bob because he's going over the network. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's get into it a little more. So when sharing files in Windows, there's 2 security layers. You have NTFS permissions and share permissions, and they work in conjunction to control who can access your files and what level of access they have. So the first is NTFS permissions. So these permissions control access to files and folders on any NTFS formatted drive, which is the Windows default file type. They offer granular control. So NTFS permissions give us more granular, more specific levels of control. They specify actions like, for example, you've got your read, your write, your modify, your execute, and your full control. You can be given any one of those. NTFS permissions apply to both local and network access. All right. And then we've got share permissions, which regulate access to folders shared over a network. They're less granular. You don't have as much specific control, and they typically give you read, change, or full control, one of those 3. These permissions only apply when resources are accessed remotely or over the network. When they are both applied, and here's the key, so you're going to have both of these applied, the most strict security protocol will take precedence here, will be applied. So for example, let's say someone is given full control over their share permissions, but NTFS permissions, they're only given read access. In that case, the more strict security protocol will override the less strict one. So in this case, they will only be given read access and they will not be given full control, because the more strict one with NTFS is read. Share permissions, despite the fact that it is set to full control, will go back to read because it has to align with the most strict out of the 2. So if you have NTFS and share permissions both applied, when someone actually tries to access it, they will only be given the most strict level of control that is outlined among these 2, and the other one will be ignored, okay? And will revert to the strictest for maximum security. You also need to know about file attributes. So Windows employs file attributes to refine how data is managed within the system. You do need to know about the different particular tags that can be given to files that dictate how the operating system treats a file. So this is about how the operating system treats a file. Okay, it's not about the permissions a user has, it's about how the operating system is treating a file. Okay, so it can be read only, which indicates that the file should not be able to be modified or deleted. It can be hidden, which makes the file or folder invisible in normal file browse. It can also be system, which marks a file or folder as a critical operating system component, which means they will be, they will be protected to prevent accidental modification. Can be archive, which will be set by Windows when a file is created or modified. Backup software typically looks for this attribute to identify which files need to be backed up. So for example, if they have changed since the last backup, they might be given the archive, which will tell you, hey, we need to back this up again because something has changed. And once it is backed up, that attribute is often cleared. So it just helps the system know, hey, I need to back this one up, but not this one because nothing's changed with this one. Might also be given compress, which indicates that the file or folder is stored in a compressed format. And then encrypted will indicate that the file or folder is encrypted using encrypting file system, or EFS, to protect its contents. And we'll get into that in a second as well. But first, we need to know about permission inheritance. So basically, permission inheritance just means the fact that if I have, but without even looking at this first, if I have a folder over here, and within this folder, I click another folder, this folder that I've created within this folder is going to be inheriting the same permissions as the folder it is in. Hopefully that made sense. But basically, guys, it means that new files and subfolders automatically acquire the security permissions of their parent directory, which means if you make a folder within another folder, that folder that is inside the folder will be given the same permissions as the folder it is in. I'm going to hope that made sense. You get it. All right. And then we also need to know about run as administrator versus standard user. Basically, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're running something as a standard user, there's going to be a lot of restrictions as to what you can and cannot do. For many things, you will need administrator account privileges because that gives you complete control over the computer. Why is this happening? Because we need we need to make sure our system has security control, and if any standard user can make any change, then it's not going to have the level of control that we need. We want to make sure only people who have the rights and actually need to make these changes can make these changes. So you may need administrator privileges in order to do certain tasks that involve changing the system. Okay. So with that being said, let's get into user account control. And this is essentially something that is designed to protect your Windows device from potential changes that may be accidental or malicious. So what is this? Basically, user account control, or UAC, is a little notification that pops up and says, hey, are you sure you want to do this? So it ensures applications or users cannot make system level changes without explicit administrator approval, even if you're logged in as an administrator. By intervening before critical changes occur, user account control helps to protect your computer from malware, accidental deletions, and unintended configuration modifications. So it just prompts you, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Before you do it, if you click yes, sweet, done. If you click no, awesome. An accidental change has been prevented. Okay. And the mechanism is crucial for maintaining system. Yeah, we get it, right? It's for security. It'll prompt you for authorization and making sure you want to do it before you actually enact that change. The thing that does that is user account control. Let's get into BitLocker encryption. We're almost at the end, guys. So BitLocker is basically full disk encryption. We talked about this earlier on. I'm not going to harp on too much about it. Really what you need to know is BitLocker encryption is what is encrypting your device on your actual laptop or computer. However, Bitlocker-to-go is what encrypts USB drives and portable drives, things to that effect. So anything that's removable media, generally when you get to the end and you want to de-encrypt it, you're going to need to use a PIN to unlock it, ensuring only people who are authorized to view it can view it. Bitlocker-to-go is BitLocker, just to go on drives that you can take around. Functionally, that's what you need to know about that. And then we've got encrypting file system, which I said we would talk about. We've talked about it a bit before, but essentially, encrypting file system is a Windows feature that lets you encrypt individual files or folders. So I want to restate that. You can encrypt individual file or folders with encrypting file system. Okay, that is what allows you to encrypt individual files or folders on Windows. You may notice I said that a few times, because I don't want you to get confused between BitLocker, Bitlocker-to-go, and encrypting file system. BitLocker and Bitlocker-to-go are encrypting the entire drive. Encrypting file system allows you to choose specifically which files and folders that you would like to encrypt. Know that for your exam, okay? Know that. That's pretty much it, right? Granular encryption, that's the key. It allows you to really choose specifically without encrypting the entire drive. You can also do user-specific access. So encryption is tied to the user's account, meaning only the user who actually encrypted the file or designated recovery agents can decrypt and access it. And certificate-based security refers to the fact that EFS relies on digital certificates to encrypt and decrypt files. Losing your certificate without a backup means permanent loss of access to your encrypted data. So don't do that. That's what you need to know functionally about EFS. Active Directory, we need to know some things about this. Just a reminder of what it is. Active Directory, or AD as it may be referred to, serves as the central directory service for Windows domain networks. It acts as a phone book, I suppose you could call it, and control center for managing user and computer accounts, authentication, and network resources from a single unified location. So it's that centralized database of kind of who all the users are, what are they allowed to do, what's their login details, so that I can have this all in one place and manage everything through this Active Directory. You need to know about each of the following specifically for your exam objective. It is outlined in the exam objective for Learning Objective 2.2. You need to know about domain joining, which is basically where you're connecting a computer to the Active Directory domain. That's called joining a domain. When you're connecting the computer to that domain, you are joining the domain. This enables that centralized management and authentication for users and resources across the network. You then need to know about login script assignment. So what this refers to is you're assigning a login script. And what this login script will do is it will automate the execution of scripts upon user login. So the user logs in and this login script will run, configuring the environment, setting, mapping network drives, and ensuring consistent user experiences. So everything that this user is supposed to have when they log in, the login script will run and make sure their system is as it should be. You also need to know about organizational unit management, or OU management. It may be referred to simply as OU in your exam, so be ready for that. Organizes users, computers, and groups into hierarchical organizational units for streamlined policy application and delegated administration within the domain. Basically what that means is, hey, I'm going to take everyone, I'm going to organize them into something called a unit, an organizational unit, so I can categorize them and apply particular things to that group as a whole. So an organizational unit is just a way to organize everyone I have into particular categories and apply things to that category, so I don't have to do it one by one. You need to know about home folder assignment, which is essentially where you are providing each user with a dedicated private network storage location, which is accessible from any domain joined computer, ensuring data availability and backup. So if they log in, no matter what device or computer they log into, they will have access to their own personal home folder. Group policy application. We talked about group policy before, but it implements centralized configuration management, enforcing security settings, software deployments, and desktop environments across the entire domain, right? So depending on the group that you're specifically applying policy to, you can change the group policy being pushed out to a wide variety of groups, right? And when you push that out, it will apply that group policy change to that particular group that you had changed. You get it. Security group selection. So groups, users, and computers to simplify access control to shared resources. So certain groups will be given different levels of access. For example, the engineering department does not need access to everyone's passwords, or I guess no one would really need that, but you know what I'm saying. Different groups will have access to different things depending on what their role is and what the requirements for their role is. Finally, folder redirection. What this does is it redirects local user profile folders, such as your documents or desktop, to network shares, ensuring data centralization, backup, and user mobility. So everything is centralized. That's folder redirection. You'll have the folder. It looks like you're clicking on your own desktop, but it's actually redirecting to a network folder called that. All right. Now, let's get into our practice questions, guys. I think we've done enough here. The first question reads, under what circumstances is it generally considered safe and necessary to temporarily deactivate Microsoft Defender Antivirus's real-time protection? Is it A, when a user is downloading a file from the internet? B, when a user wants to temporarily disable all security measures on their computer in order to configure multi-factor authorization via port 25? C, when a user is troubleshooting or installing specific trusted software that is incorrectly flagged as a threat? Or D, when another third-party antivirus program is automatically installed? Pause the video for a moment if you need more time. I'm going to take a quick sip and then I'll give you your answer. Okay, sip done. Your answer coming in 3, Pause the video if you need to. 2, 1. The answer is gonna be C, guys. If you're troubleshooting or installing specific trusted software, you trust the software and you have to deactivate your antivirus for some reason because this has been flagged as a threat, you may need to do that. That's really the only acceptable time. Definitely don't do it when you're downloading a file from the internet, for A. B is gibberish. It doesn't make any sense. And D, generally, Microsoft Defender Antivirus is designed to automatically disable when you install a third-party protector, so it'll do that on its own. Now, 4. This question reads, a network administrator needs to restrict access to a server to only allow secure web traffic and block all other types of incoming traffic. Which firewall security feature is most appropriate for this task? Is it A, application security, B, port security, C, system updates, D, remote desktop protocol, or RDP? We did talk about this one in this video. Hopefully we remember. Your answer coming in 3, 2, 1. It is B, port security. We talked about, actually specifically, just by chance I talked about this one, how if you want to block insecure web traffic, you would do that on a port security basis by blocking the port 80, which is associated with HTTP, therefore only allowing port 443 HTTPS, which is secure web traffic, to go through. Basically, if you want to block a particular protocol, you need to block the port that protocol generally operates on. That's how you do it. Application security is a broader term that's talking about the security measures used to protect applications, the more advanced things such as packet inspection and things like that. But if we're just looking at stopping a particular protocol, such as insecure web traffic, we'd need to block that port through port security. And I did walk you through how to do that, setting inbound and outbound rules. The next question reads, an IT professional wants to configure a user account for new employees that allows them to perform all day-to-day tasks, such as running applications and saving files, without granting them the ability to make system-wide changes. What type of account is best suited for this purpose and aligns with the principle of least privilege? Is it A, administrator, B, guest user, C, standard account, or D, power user? Your answer is coming in 3, 2, 1. Pause the video if you need to. Here we go. It's going to be C, standard account. All right. A standard account is the one that lets you do all the day-to-day stuff without having those escalated privileges that you get with administrator privileges. So the standard account cannot do any significant system-wide changes. Guest user would be the answer if it was not a new employee, because a new employee is going to need to have their own account and access everything every day. A guest user is there like once and then they're going home. Power user is the legacy account for that level of permission that is between standard user and administrator account. All right, so hopefully we did it right there. The next question reads, an administrator has set a shared folder to have read share permissions for a user group, but has granted that same group full control NTFS permissions on the folder's contents. If a user from that group tries to access the folder over the network, what will be their effective access level and why? Is it A, they will have full control because NTFS permissions are more granular and always override share permissions? Is it B, they will have read access because the most restrictive permission from either the NTFS or share permissions always applies? Is it C, they will have read access to the files but full control to the subfolders? Or D, they will have full control because share permissions only apply when logged in locally? Pause the video and have a think about that one. We did cover it. Your answer is coming in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. It is going to be B. They will have the most restrictive permissions applied. If you have two different sets of permissions, the most restrictive ones will be applied. So for that reason, they will have read access only. Hopefully that made sense and we remembered going over that one. The next question reads, a traveling salesperson uses a USB flash drive to carry confidential client information. To ensure that this sensitive data is protected, if the drive is not lost or stolen, they encrypt the entire contents of the removable drive. When they plug the drive into a computer, they are prompted for a password to unlock it. What technology is being used to protect the data in this scenario? Is it A, Bitlocker, B, Bitlocker-to-go, C, EFS, or D, Telnet? Pause the video if you need more time. Your answer is coming in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. It is B, Bitlocker-to-go, guys. Bitlocker encrypts the entire computer drive, but Bitlocker-to-go encrypts the entire USB stick or portable drive that you are taking with you on to go. Anything portable, it's going to be Bitlocker-to-go. On the device itself, it's going to be BitLocker. Encrypting file system does encrypt things, but remember that's a file and folder specific encryption technology in Windows. So you're not you're not encrypting an entire drive, you're encrypting specific files and folders with EFS. Telnet is completely unrelated and has nothing to do with any of this. The next question reads, you're getting a lot of questions, guys. An IT administrator needs to change the security and desktop settings for a user who has just moved from the sales department to the marketing department. Instead of manually reconfigure the user's computer, the administrator moves the user's account from the sales organizational unit to the marketing organizational unit in Active Directory. What is the primary reason for performing this action? A, to automatically remove the user's old permissions and apply new ones from the destination OU through group policy inheritance. B, to permanently delete the user's account and create a new one in the correct department. C, to change the user's login name and password to reflect their new department. Or D, to transfer the user's personal files and documents to a new shared folder for the marketing team. Please pause the video if you need more time. It's a lot of words there. Your answer is coming in 3, 2, 1. The answer is A, to automatically remove the user's old permissions and apply new ones from the destination OU through group policy inheritance. So basically, guys, just remember, OU is organizational unit. Organizational unit. That's what it stands for, and that's how we're organizing the permissions, etc., for particular groups. Moving a user account from one OU to another OU allows you to automatically get rid of their old permissions and give them the new permissions of that new OU that you are moving them to. Okay. Now, guys, look, if you have enjoyed this content, this is all excerpts, very small excerpts from my learning guide. So if you are interested in getting a hold of my learning guide, I'm going to show you what it does, and then I'll show you where you can get it. So essentially, what it does is it breaks the entire exam into exam objectives. So you got exam objective 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I click on 1, I come over here, I can click on the download button. That will start the download and check out what you get when this thing downloads, right? This will open up, and from here, you can come down to the table of contents and you can see it's organized by everything in that exam objective, all laid out dot point by dot point. But even more, I can come over here and I can click on, let's say I'm only interested in going to 1.4, but I specifically need to know about additional tools. I can click on that and it will take me specifically to this section where I will get detailed notes, key summary notes, and then at the bottom of that exam objective, I will get active recall questions, which are open-ended questions. I will get answers to those, and then I'll get what everyone is here for, multiple choice questions specifically relating to that exam objective. Okay, and you can see there's a lot there, and you get those detailed answers just like you're getting in this video, but it's laid out, organized by every single exam objective. And you get that, guys, for every single exam objective, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all laid out by exam objective. You also get here 3 full-length practice exams. You'll be able to click on that, come over here, click on download, check this out. You click the download button, you download your practice exams, it's going to open up, and then you're going to get access to 3 practice exams, each of which contains 2 PBQs and 90 multiple choice questions. Okay, so you get 2 PBQs, 90 multiple choice questions, randomized questions to really test yourself after you've gone through the organized information there. You also get a document just with the performance-based questions and some additional videos that tell you how to 10 times your learning with free AI tools. I tell you how to approach multiple choice questions on exam day to make sure you are actually ready. And then I also give you a video showing you how to effectively study with multiple choice questions as well, so that you can make sure not only are you going through this organized information, but you're actually doing it in a way that is effective and efficient, and you'll be more prepared than 99% of people walking into that exam room. So look, if that is something you want to do, you can actually head to journey2cyber.com. Make sure you type it right. to cyber.com. And then it'll take you here. Click on your A+ Core 2 in this case. It'll take you here. And then you can have a look at everything that's available, what people are saying. Like, there's a lot of nice comments here. Have a read of that. And if you like what you see, click on purchase and it'll take you here. It is very reasonably priced considering everything that I just laid out. I want this to be accessible to you. I don't want price to be an issue for you guys, for you to be able to pass your exam. So I wanted to make sure this is reasonably priced. So this is 25 AU dollars. In US dollars, you can probably half that. It's probably like 13 bucks or something like that. So if that interests you, you can grab that. Otherwise, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one. I can't wait to hear that you have passed your exam. Bye, guys.